Hello good people, hope you're doing well. In today's video, we are going to talk about why your budget is failing. Have you set the 4 personal goals? You have to earn, invest, spend, and save. Welcome to another episode of Live, Learn, Adventure, and Charity, where we talk about finance, personal development, travel, and charity. Before we start this video, I would humbly request that you support Naomi as she raises funds to meet her medical expenses as well as her daily expenses after she suffered stroke. I am going to link her 2 videos down below. If you're in a position, kindly support a girl get better. She needs medical treatment on a weekly basis and she also needs to meet her daily expenses. Your contribution will be highly appreciated. On to the video. We want to ask ourselves why our budgets are failing. But maybe the first question should be, do you have a budget? We have shared a few episodes on budgeting. One, the normal budget. Second one is when your income is less than the expenditure and also when you have the surplus. I'm going to link the videos down below in case you missed the videos because you need to know how to budget or you need to have a budget before you review whether it is successful or it's failing. So the first thing is that your budget is unrealistic. Sometimes we have ambitions which we include in our budget before getting deeper into our finances to be able to meet the budget. You need to review your wants and your needs so that you can assess what you can postpone and what you must acquire right now. Comment down below if you already created a budget and it is realistic, that is, it is in line with your income, and if it is not, whether you have created an additional income stream which will help you meet your budget. The second thing is you do not understand why your budget is not working. Why? You have a budget but you're not following it, or you have an unrealistic budget and you're not doing anything about it. How many times do you have plans for yourself that you end up not fulfilling, not because that you don't want to, but you're not doing anything about it? Assuming your budget for the month, for instance, for clothing is about 10,000 and you find yourself shopping for 15,000, isn't that you? And you didn't maybe write down, because if you're monitoring your expenses, you will know when you exceed a specific budget item. So you'll just check through and see what you need to work on. And this is talk you should be taking at the end of every month. For instance, if it is for your grocery, some of the things are basics. Some of them you may have to sacrifice if you're on a tight budget. So the best thing is list down the items that you need, separate them from the wants. That way you will be able to first track your expenses. Second, keep tabs with what you need and what you don't necessarily need, but they are wants. Remember, wants are also important. It's only that they cannot be prioritized over needs. The next thing is that you don't know your spending triggers. For instance, maybe you have a friend who randomly tells you go hang out and maybe you have already exhausted your entertainment budget. So, or perhaps you're just, for instance, in most places when you meet the hawkers, you're always tempted to buy something. Maybe it's something you have been wanting, but then you just find it at that time and you decide, why not? This is okay in some instances, but sometimes it may affect your budget, maybe for 2 or 3 months, because if you messed up this month's budget, it means you might have to adjust next month, and maybe next month you also mess up something and you end up extending. You have a series of a problem. The next thing is your partner, your family, and your friends are not on board on your budget. So, assuming your people expect certain things, But if they don't know you're on a budget, and maybe the budget does not allow those things that they are desiring, then it means you will not be able to achieve your budget. It is always important, like we have said before, to engage the people around you when you're planning for your budget. And of course, talk to your family especially and your partner about your goals so that you can team up and work together. In any case, your partner may assist you in being your accountability partner as you work towards your goal. And they will also help you even manage the expenditure so that you can be able to meet the goals that you have planned for. The next thing is that your budget does not fit your lifestyle. Maybe you're living in a place where housing is expensive. Remember, during our budgeting, one of the main needs was housing. So if your housing is high as compared to your income, then it will be very difficult to be able to make adjustments. The next thing is you don't include your miscellaneous expenses on your budget. Remember, we all have random or upcoming expenses in our budgets. For instance, you may need something this month which you don't usually need. You may need even something may break down and you had not planned for it. You may also need to support a friend. You may need to support a family member. You may also need something for yourself which was not already in the budget. So you really need to have a miscellaneous aspect on your budget. The next thing is lack of emergency fund. Remember, emergencies are not anticipated, so you may be okay the whole month. You may have everything working around for you. Then you get sick. Then you get sick. So it means you require medical attention, and that calls for expenses. So if you don't have an insurance cover or a medical scheme, then you'll be in big trouble because you'll not be able to meet your expenses. Or if you do, you end up spending more than you anticipated, or you eat up from your needs. The next thing is that your expenses are higher than your income, but the best thing about that one, it's something that you can fix. We have said before, if your expenses exceed your income, you can either adjust your expenses downwards or you get an additional income stream. Solved. But this one, it is definitely something you consider when you're coming up with your budget. The next thing is that you forget some expenses when you're listing down your expenses. Remember, we shared a detailed expense list in our previous video, which I will link down below, so that when you're planning your budget, maybe you can consider 1 or 2, 3 things from the list. You can also revisit your budget and you see what needs to be there and what you may need to exclude. The next thing, which is often forgotten, is that you do not leave room for fun, aka entertainment, whichever way you may put it. Remember, life does not just require you to be serious all the time. You need to have fun once in a while. Take time out. Maybe you can even create the fun in the house. If maybe your budget is so tight, you can just come up with creative way of having fun, but it should be something you consider on a monthly basis. We have a saying that you need to tell your body sorry for working the whole month. So you need to get a way of doing that within your budget. The next thing is that you're not adjusting your budget with the current circumstances. Something may have come up within the month and you need to slightly adjust your budget. Something may have been missing previously and you may need to add it to the budget. Maybe you even forgot to list a budget item, which creates a gap because maybe you forgot a basic need, So you need to ensure that you're keeping tabs with the key budget items. The next thing, which is actually suicidal, is quitting too soon. If you're working out a budget and you're trying to sustain it and it's not working, The solution is not to quit. The solution is to come up with a way of being able to work around something. For instance, if maybe the reason you're quitting is because your expenses exceed your income, you can create an additional income stream. You can try and see if you can adjust. See, at least there's always hope for everything. So don't give up because you feel like it's not working or it's not in line with what you expect. Perhaps what it may cost you is that you may need to sacrifice some additional time to be able to create an additional income stream. Maybe you have to get some lessons. Maybe you start to reduce your free time, and that time you use it to create another form of income. The next thing is that it is too easy to spend your income. For instance, when you run out of your monthly income, you have your credit card, so you can still enjoy money whether it is on you or on credit. So maybe the first thing you need to review is your credit card expenditure and how you're paying it, by ensuring mostly you're saving on the interest that would be accruing on the credit card. And also it is helping to complement, not to grow your debt. And complementing is maybe in case of an emergency, in case you need something. And if you ask me, the credit card should be in a position to be paid at the end of the month, because it's a complement, not a source of income. So if you can, it is better to leave your cards and cash. Maybe you just have enough cash for daily expenses. That will help you avoid impulse buying or indulging into other expenses that were not planned for. Reduce the amount on your phone, or you put it under the lock. For instance, for our local Kenyan system, you can have a lock account on M-Pesa, such that you can access it, I think, about after 24 or 48 hours, which means if you had an urgent desire, you have been able to overcome it. Because if you can't buy now when you are seeing it, it means you will be able to avoid it, unless it is really necessary and you want to come back for it the next day or 2 days later. And what we said in our previous video is that if you don't have it, then you don't need it in most cases, especially if it is not a basic key item. The next thing, which we actually talked about again in our previous video, is you are not practicing self-discipline. Remember, coming up with a budget is one thing, but sustaining that budget is the work. You have a budget, you have maybe a stable income that is a specific amount. So it is your task to be able to stick to the budget, unless you have additional funds that you may need to adjust the budget, which means if you are adjusting the budget, it is coming with an adjustment, a positive adjustment to the income. You're not just adjusting the budget because for fun, unless you're adjusting the budget downwards to be able to meet somewhere with your expense and your income. The next thing is you are cheating on your budget. When we are doing weight loss, most of the times we say we are cheating. Maybe you eat extra on a certain day, quote unquote, you cheat. But when it comes to the budget, if you cheat, you need to adjust somewhere. So if you cheat and not adjust, then you're messing up your whole schedule. So perhaps it's time you think, yes, to be honest, cheating is allowed, but when you cheat, you need to align it with an adjustment to your expenses, so that you're not left with a deficit expense and you're not able to meet your basic expenses, which are your basic needs, not wants, but your basic needs. The next biggest mistake is you do not have goals. First, If you're not budgeting, it means you don't have goals. So you need to come up with your goals, then you budget, then you now start practicing self-discipline. We have already stated at the beginning that for you, any personal goals involve creating the income, that is income, investment, spending, and saving. So if you have not split your income into the four, then there's a problem. You need to work around something so that you can accommodate all the four budget items as much as fairly as possible. Remember, we said it's never too early to start planning for your retirement, and also the investment comes in handy to build a fund that can be able to help you in case of loss of income, or in case you really need to grow your portfolio or your asset base. I mean, you need to grow your money to be able to achieve some of your long-term goals. I think for today, we are going to close it at that. If you have any additional reason as to why your budget is not working out, write them down on your notebook, write them down beside your budget so that you start working on them. Thank you so much for watching this video. Remember, we have a charity cause for Naomi. We are raising her medical expenses as well as her daily expenses. I will link down her telephone number down below so that you can send your contribution, and we will definitely appreciate. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you're new, kindly subscribe. If you're returning, thank you so much for always coming back to watch our videos. See you on our next one. Bye.